That's part of what you do. Same thing with what quarterbacks do in the NFL. Part of what point guards do in the NBA. Part of what defensemen and offensive players do in the NHL when they're having plays. Everybody's got plays. They've got plays. We were just talking to Bob Papa talking about the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. They have 100 pages of plays. That's what you do. So the pickle is, do you guys feel it's cheating if the third base coach, and it could be any team, third base coach is relaying what the pitcher is gripping in his glove to the hitter?
Nicky Nukes?
Oh, man. Do I think that happens, Rob? Is that your question?
No. It was happening last night.
Okay.
And the Cubs the Diamondbacks, Merrill Kelly, and the Diamondbacks were offended by it, and they started calling out the Cubs and threatening, etc. Do you feel that's cheating, or that's an acceptable part of doing business in the MLB?
No, I don't think that's cheating by any means. I mean, if you're tipping your pitches, if it's visible and you could see it, why wouldn't you gain any leg up on your opposition that you can in real time? Do you feel differently? Do you think it's cheating?
Michael?
It's tough. I don't think so either. If we're tipping pitches has been going on for how long? We're talking about
decades and decades.
Evidence of it too, and guys seeing it and try to help them out. Rob, we talked about this a while ago too, because the Houston Astros was a big debacle. You mean to tell me there's not other teams out there in the sport of Major League Baseball that aren't doing what they were doing?
Oh no, they knew it was going on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that's been going on. Cheating goes on at any walk of any level of sport. There's going to be anything to get a leg up on the competition. You want to win. You want to do whatever it takes to win, especially for your psyche and how you feel mentally and legacies and all that. We always hear there's stuff coming up when players are tired or when players are in there oh, he did this, their team did that. Do you remember they did this? No, I pretty much agree with Nick in that.
Well, listen, I mean, I didn't even know that some of the technology they allow on the bench is unsettling to me, but it's
true
part of evolution. We had graphs and charts, and we had information that we had in my day, and I'm sure they had different information 20 years before me. Now they have, we know they have the pitch recognition stuff, the AI that can tell you what pitch that it feels is going to be the next pitch based on information. I mean, that's what's going on in the world. Now we have the trajectory flight. We have how you should be playing hitters in certain counts, and we put it on index cards. Do I think it's offensive that they don't know more about the sport and they've dumbed down the sport? Yeah, that's more offensive than like a quarterback having the plays on his wrist. It's not easy to keep track of all of that play stuff. I worked with Kirk Morrison when he was still actively a linebacker with the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. He had a full iPad full of defensive things he needed to know. He couldn't keep it all in his head.
Yeah.
So, the way you go into your glove, if people can see it, that's on you. That's not on the people that are recognizing it.
Yeah.
And,
it's on you.
It's on you to change your patterns.
Also, Merrill Kelly's probably upset, Rob and Nick, because he got bounced from the game. Picked up a loss.
Yeah.
He's 8-12. He's stinking it up this year, right? With Arizona, all things considered. So he's mad. So he's going to rant and vent and say something, and they picked it up, and it's become a story. And
listen, I don't even think that the spider tack was cheating.
Interesting.
Honestly, when it first came out, I said this, and I'll say it again. I truly believe this. There should be a substance that is approved by Major League Baseball and accepted by the teams.
Yeah.
Like pine tar for bats, because God, they throw bats around all the time right now with pine tar.
Vladdy did it in the series against the Yankees over the weekend.
Yeah. So now for a pitcher, and now we have so many guys that throw 100. And I'll grant it, they do throw harder than when I played. I'm not going to say I didn't throw hard for the day. I did. but there was less of guys like me because they weren't trying to do things like I did.
Yeah.
Now they do. They have a lower body kind of drive that we didn't have when I played. They have a hip turn and thrust that we didn't have when I played. They've made advances in pitching. They've made advances in hitting. They've also gone back in hitting. But it's their game now. It's not my game. It's the fans' game, really.
Right.
But it's dangerous. And that's why they have a huge piece that comes in the front of the face. So yes, they should have an accepted substance the pitchers can put on the ball. Do I think you need to check their hands after every inning? No. I think that's childish. But if you see a guy, and I can't remember the kid's name, I used to call him Pine Tar Pineda, Michael Pineda.
Yeah.
He had a different substance than the color of his skin on his neck.
Yeah.
That wasn't very smart. So if you catch the guy doing that, yes, you got caught. If you've got a nail file in your back pocket like that happened years ago with, I think, it wasn't Phil, it was the other Negro, yes, that's not acceptable. Those are things that are in the rule book. But as far as saying, hey, the guy's picking up my patterns and how I grip the ball going into my glove, God, now we're really nitpicking and crying about things that are on you. You need to change those, not the third base coach.
Yeah, it's like I'm so glad you mentioned Spider Attack because Garrett Cole was one of the guys that was kind of at the forefront of that. But
he wasn't the only one.
No,
that guy that made the goop in L.A. was making it for every team that came into town.
It wasn't the argument that it could help prevent arm injuries because pitchers had to grip the ball less, so there was less strain on their elbow.
Maybe.
Wasn't that another? I mean, if you can throw that at Major League Baseball.
But listen, it's just, but Mike and Nick, listen, it's accepted like the steroids were accepted. I'm not saying it's right, and I didn't do it, but I knew it was going on, and I knew dozens of guys, maybe hundreds of guys, I don't know, were doing it. And there was a guy in the Mets clubhouse that was giving it out to guys. It's the same kind of principle. It's an individual thing that you're getting over on other guys. But is it really helping? I mean, some of these guys that were using Spider Attack still stunk.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that use Pine Tar still stink. So some of the guys use steroids. I knew it affected them, and they didn't play well. So it's kind of like, yes, you're accusing people of cheating, but even some cheaters aren't good at cheating. So It's kind of like, where do you draw the line? Oh, well, it helped that guy's batting average. Well, it didn't help that guy's batting average. Then both guys shouldn't be allowed to use it. No, they shouldn't. But you got to catch both guys, and I think Gary Sheffield and some of the other guys said that. You can't outlaw it for a few and let the many get away with it. And that's what happened during the steroid era.
Well, it's also like, do we want to go quickly to golf like Bryson DeChambeau and what happened there? Like you're making him as a scapegoat when there's probably other golfers out there that have cheated and it just hasn't been on camera during like these events. I mean, like, you mean to tell me like the everyday and regular golfer does it all the time, that these guys like Patrick Reed, who got dinged with it too because he addressed his ball in the bunker before he could hit. Like, I'm sorry, this stuff is going on, I think, more than we know in a lot of other sports. And it's just trying to make an example out of a few guys. But Merrill Kelly, listen, my message in PSA for you is just don't do anything that's obvious, to kind of your point, Rob, and just go about your business and pitch well, because he hasn't done that, especially recently here over the summer.
And everybody's got to face adversity. There's some guys like Duran. Listen, I'm not getting on that guy as a human. I'm getting on that guy as a baseball player. Statistically, he doesn't deserve to be in a lineup. Period. Let's not go any farther than that. There's some pitchers like Nestor Cortez a few years ago. I was hard on that guy, and they ended up trading him. Rafael Devers, they ended up trading him. I mean, everybody is going to be judged by the numbers.
Yes.
And so some guys have bad years, other guys have great years. They're judged by the numbers. Look at Cal Raleigh. You don't see him crying.
No.
He's taking the pain right now, and he's putting all the emphasis on it. It's my fault. That's what you do as an athlete. Instead of saying it's the third base coach's fault that I got roughed up last night, you say, listen, I didn't have my best stuff. and they were picking up some pitches. I've got to work on that in my next bullpen.
Yeah.
End of point. But your job is to do your job. And some of these guys that aren't, take accountability for it.
Yeah.
When you're having a bad year. And the other guys, don't gloat, be humble, have some humility. When that's why I love Aaron Judge. Dude hits 62 home runs or he's hurt half the season, he's the same guy.
Yeah.
Like Mo Rivera. Mo Rivera was the same guy. He wasn't high, he wasn't too low. He wasn't a jerk when he was winning awards or winning championships. He was just the same guy all the time. I respect that.
Let me ask you a quick question, Rob, because you brought up Cal Raleigh. That's something that we discussed on last week's program, just the downfall and pretty much the free fall of Cal Raleigh's, fall from grace with the Seattle Mariners. From his career year last year, hitting 60-plus home runs, being an AL MVP candidate, down to the final wire with Aaron Judge, runner-up, and he's just having a really, really tough go of it as of late. But my question here is, he hits his first career 3-game home run game last night. The Mariners beat up on the Philadelphia Phillies. They get a win. They're feeling good to start that one. Does that mask any sort of, the negative thoughts that are circling in his mind? Or does he wake up this morning and that 3-home run game is already in the rear view and he's back to thinking, wow, I'm really going through it. I'm batting 160 and I'm not helping my team out like I know I could be?
Well, it's kind of like golf when you shoot 100 and you par the last hole.
Yeah.
It pisses you off, but you're like, all right, I'm going to come back
Keeps you
tomorrow.
coming back.
Okay.
Yeah, I made good contact.
Back. So, he knows he's having a disappointing year. He's disappointed in himself. I've said this many times. No, these players, not just baseball, but every sport, male, female, it doesn't matter. Nobody's tougher on you than you. You're going to go home. You're going to judge yourself on your performance and execution, and you're going to kill yourself when you're terrible. You're going to sit alone some nights and be like, God, I suck so bad. How did I get to this place? And that's what Cal Raleigh's going to do a lot this offseason. He's going to do some soul searching and try to figure out, how do I get even halfway back to last year and that kind of brilliance? What was I doing right? What was I doing wrong? And that's part of what your job is to search for answers when you're not going great. I mean, why does a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's had great success and some awful years, get hurt in 75 seconds a few years ago? He spends 4 days in the dark, searching for answers. I mean, it's not easy. And if we had all the answers, then everybody'd be perfect, and it would be boring. And there's a lot of guys that are struggling. Like Lindor with the Mets. The guy was brilliant for some years in Cleveland, has had some really good years with the Mets and some really poor years with the Mets. It happens. If you're Giancarlo Stanton, you're going, why can't I stay healthy? Why does this keep happening to me? So it's really hard mentally. That's why I think the game's like 95% mental. It's the same thing in the NBA or the WNBA. Why am I having such a bad year shooting this year? Shaquille O'Neal, why am I shooting 50% career from the foul line? That should be the easiest part of my game.
Chucking bricks.
Yeah, that's right. So I think Cal Raleigh is not an exception to the rule. There's a lot more guys like Cal Raleigh that struggle, especially in baseball, and fail miserably. But it's because he had such a great year. My God, I could, Brady Anderson, you can go back in his 50 home run year. Never came close to that again. Roger Maris hitting 61. Never came close to that again. I think the next year after Roger Maris did 61, he hit 33.
Yeah.
So, I think it's, it happens when everything they call it being in the zone. It goes right for you, but then there's other years that are just miserable. I have more respect for the guys that, like Cal Raleigh, come out in a miserable year and are very positive and say great things. The coach for the Celtics, he's like, don't just thank God when you're having great times. Thank God when you're having miserable times.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense to me as a spiritual person that I am, because that's like, I'm thanking God when I had cancer.
Yeah.
I'm not thanking God when I win a world championship.
Yep. Silver lining real quick here for Cal Raleigh and the Mariners. that American League West division is absolutely terrible this year. Very uncompetitive. It's completely open and up for grabs. The Mariners, for as bad of a year as they're having, with a lot of guys having subpar career numbers, they're only 3 games back. So it is still very much doable to claw back in and have a chance at winning that division. Cal Raleigh, you hit 3 home runs. Obviously, you're having a very down year like we just touched on, but maybe that's a stepping stone. Maybe that's something to start getting yourself feeling right and trying to try to correct the course that you found yourself on and get a foot in the right direction as we head towards October, because they have a chance at winning this division if they could start stringing together some games.
Well, and to your point, it's kind of like Adley Rutschman with the Red Sox. I mean, I've seen him struggle at the plate. He's had a couple of good games with them offensively. But, dude, your job is to handle the pitching first.
Yeah.
So if Cal Raleigh can handle the pitching, or look at Austin Wells. You're talking about Cal Raleigh. Look at that guy. He's had a miserable year, but he keeps going and getting the most out of that pitching staff. That's his job. So when your first job is defense, shortstop, second base, center field, catcher, if you do that well, it's acceptable to fail sometimes offensively. And I think that the Mariners could easily win that division. Or make a run. As I was breaking down the wild card today, that's what's shocking is there's still 20 teams. You take the 6 ones that win their divisions, but you've got the other 6 teams that are going to make the postseason right now. I'm shocked at some of the teams with losing records that are still in this stuff.
Yeah, it's the AL West is doing their best AL Central impersonation right now with how bad the baseball's been, and with teams being below 500. Vlad Guerrero Jr. or Cal Raleigh have to be the biggest disappointments on the offensive side of the ball this year. I don't really think it's close, just given the year especially. I think Cal Raleigh's worse because of the year he had. I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr. did hit like 390 in the postseason as well, too, and was met yesterday.
Well, even Tatis Jr. I mean, the Padres are in the 3rd spot for the wild card.
Yeah.
He's had a miserable home run power kind of year.
Yep.
He's still in it. Diamondbacks are 2 games out. Marlins are 4 games out. St. Louis is 5 games out. I mean, they're all within striking distance. But look at the Twins. Twins, Astros right now losing records. They're right there, half game and 2 out of that 3rd wild card spot in the American League. Blue Jays are 2 games back. They're 4 under 500. Orioles 2.5 back. They're 5 under 500. And so, when you have a losing record right now, you could still make the postseason. I'd be damn happy if I was managing those teams. And some of those teams have had their managers fired. Look at Chad Tracy. My God, nobody's done a better job, and he's up for manager of the year in the American League than Chad Tracy. They were awful under Alex Cora.
Yeah.
And he's like 20 games, 25 games over 500, whatever it is. I don't have it in front of me. But 72-59 at this point in the season, I can't think of a better example of coming from the minor leagues, coming up to the major leagues, and getting your team to play better. And in a lot of ways, defensively, offensively, changing the philosophy, getting these guys out of the mindset of even the front office, I think that is spectacular. So whether or not you're Dan Wilson, who I played with in the major leagues, and what he's done with the Mariners, even though they've struggled at times, I think those are all really good jobs, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we were talking about some bad teams. We were talking about some good teams in there, like earlier, like the Yankees and the Red Sox, of course, too.